The Merkuriusmind presents to you our weekly dose of inspirational teachings. So sit back, listen, and thrive. And please, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications every time we release a new dose. Let's go!
Today's teaching is very practical and very important too. And if you pay attention and catch this teaching, it will contribute a great deal in your life. You know, naturally, every human grows in age and every human grows mentally. You know, some might be wondering, why do I say mentally, that some people don't grow mentally, they remain who they are? Yes, of course. But every human grows mentally because every experience we had in this life is designed for us to grow from it. So every human grows mentally, but not just at the same capacity. So you don't need to read to have an experience, neither do you need to, go to school or further educations to have an experience. Every stage of your life comes with a different experience, and the difference between people is how they use that experience to their benefits. Now, I want you to listen to this very well because this is where I'm driving at. Our growth or success in life is not just a function of the experiences we had that contributed to our mental development. It is also the function of the experiences that we flushed out, that we are toxic to our journey towards success. I will say that again. Our growth or success in life is not just a function of the experiences we had that contributed to our mental development. It is also the function of the experiences that we flushed out, that we are toxic to our journey towards success. What I'm saying is this, and you can quote me anywhere. If you don't assume a new identity, you can never achieve meaningful success. If you don't assume a new identity, you will always be limited. This brings us to today's teaching. I think today's teaching, leave that orbit. Leave that orbit. I remember when I got the visa to travel to the United States, my eldest brother's friend called me and was advising me. He said something, those things he said then, it didn't make no sense then to me, but now it is becoming very clear. He said, Chidi, where you are going is a foreign land, different cultures, different environment, different approach to life. Whatever that fascinates you over there, whether it is business, education, or whatever it is, do it with all your might. Then he said something else. He said, but I must warn you, you are going to lose many friends, especially those that you have back home. And it's going to happen automatically. And he said, when that happens, remember that it is called growth. All the while he was saying all those things, I was just, thinking in my mind, what is this dude talking about? I'm planning on how to be going to and fro, coming in to groove with my friends, to hang out with my friends, to paint the streets, to go to exotic hotels and, do all those things. But when I got here in the United States, those thoughts that that were still in my head. But as time goes on, months after months, years after years, different things began to interest me. I began to obsess on different things entirely. And those things that I began to think on started soaking my thoughts. The thoughts of grooving and all those things, enjoyment and stuff like that, they completely got erased from my memory. Trust me, I'm not saying that I don't groove or enjoy, but the definition of enjoyment completely changed for me. And what happened was that I grew. I left that orbit. Now, if I take you back to what I said earlier at the beginning of this teaching, that growth or success is not just a function of the experiences we had that contributed to our mental development, but also the function of the experiences that we flushed out, that we are toxic to our journey towards success. I want you to understand this clearly. Both I and some of those my friends back home grew physically and mentally all those years. We had new experiences all those years. But the difference was I flushed all those previous experiences that doesn't serve me anymore. but they still held onto theirs because they don't want to leave that orbit. Now, please don't get me wrong. Don't think, oh, it's because it's in the United States. No. Some of my friends back home also grew and they left that orbit too. This science has nothing to do with location. It's applicable anywhere in the world. I use United States because I was telling my personal story. Back to our teaching. You know what I think? I think it's high time you leave that orbit. If you truly want to amount to anything great in this life, you had to leave that orbit. Now, this is it. Many of those my friends, they choose carefully now the kind of things they discuss with me. They choose the area of interest wisely when it comes to our conversation these days. I never asked them to do that, but they saw for themselves that I have left that orbit. It was clear to them that I have assumed a new identity. One of my friends said something to me recently. He said, "Chidi, I never foresaw you going this direction." He was congratulating me on my new book, the new website, and my blog and everything. And he made this sincere statement. In his exact word, he said, "I didn't see this coming from you." And he said that with every sincerity. They are all still my friends and I love them. But the only thing now is that I have left that orbit. And I'm proud that many of them are leaving that orbit too. So I think it's high time you leave that orbit if you really desire to be successful. Now, my question to you is, when are you going to leave that orbit? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to leave that orbit? When are you going to assume that new identity? Listen, the reality of your dream is dependent on your new identity. There is certain levels of your life you can never get to if you still hold on to your old identity. One thing about that orbit, it feels very comfortable. When you are in that orbit, you feel special in that orbit. You feel influential. You feel recognized. You feel very important. You feel powerful. But all those things, what it does is it puts you in a box. It draws a circle around your life and it dictates the rhythm of your life. Seriously, I think, guys, it is time for us to break out. It is time for us to leave that orbit. But I must warn you, it is not going to be pretty. True. People are going to hate on you when you leave that orbit. It is natural. But at the end, it is worth it. I remember the words of Napoleon Hill. He said, "Success requires no apologies and failure permits no alibis." I have heard people say time and again, this is who I am, and they say those things concerning habits that has limited them in years, habits that has restrained their abilities to be very effective in life. People get angry easily, people get jealous easily, and they'll be telling you, this is who I am. They don't want to leave that orbit. It has become so comfortable for them that they just want to stay there. But the bad side of it is this will limit you in the pursuit of your dreams and goals and purpose in life. Listen, those people, it's not that they don't gain new experiences in life. Of course, they grew. They gain new experiences, but they don't want to flush out the old ones that don't serve them. You can have a friend of 10 years or 5 years that you haven't seen for a while, and that friend will come and meet you and still make this statement, "Oh, you can never change." And you will ignorantly answer, "You know me. That's who I am." That statement is wrong. It just means you don't want to leave that orbit. What I'm saying I'm not saying you should change all your habits. I'm not saying you should just, leave all your friends or stuff like that. What I'm saying is do not still be identified with habits that has no positive contribution towards your purpose. That is what it means by leaving the orbit. I remember one of the special guests, during my website launch, she said something, a very simple statement, but it's very striking. She said, "Check in with yourself daily." Listen, as simple as this statement may sound, application of this statement will bring tremendous change in your life. I know it will be very uncomfortable to leave that orbit, but if you desire success in your life, if you desire that next level of life, you need to leave that orbit. You are responsible for your success, not the next man. And success requires no apology. So do the right things that must be done. I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes saying, the world will only change their opinion about you the day you do. So my friends, I think it's high time you leave that orbit, change that mental environment that you have been in for a while. Assume that new identity if you truly desire that next level of life. I will be more than happy to hear your success story. So try to share this teaching with people that you know that they are finding it difficult to leave their old orbits because they felt so comfortable in there. They felt so powerful. They don't want to lose friends, and they remain limited. The reason for this teaching is for you to do something about it so that you can step into the next level and the next level of your life. Like I said, I will be more than happy to hear your success stories. So please leave us a comment and try to share this with friends. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.